Welcome or welcome back to the CMO Summit. Before we get going with the next helping of inspiring content, we'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsors for helping us bring this event to your screens. And don't forget, you can access even more content from articles and interviews to our podcast series at cmoalliance.io. Enjoy the next session. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the CMO Summit. I'm excited to introduce our next session of the day, which will be looking at 6 indicators to align the C-suite and drive business success. And our next presenter is Yannick Podar, CMO of Group BPCE, specifically the Digital Payments Division. Stay tuned, pop any questions in the chat and let us know when you're tuning in from. From now on, over to you.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Caitlin. Hey, everyone. My name is Yannick Podar. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Group Episode Payments Division. As Caitlin just mentioned, I am super excited to be here. I'm pretty stoked actually to be presenting this. It's quite a lot of experience and from mentors, from books, from conferences, and just being on the ground as a CMO. And so I've had a lot of really interesting perspectives and insights to share. But before we get started, just kind of maybe type in which city you're in, and also what's your title, just to get an understanding. Are you a VP of marketing, a director of growth, but just to understand the different levels on the call today, because it's going to give you an opportunity to understand how to best tailor my stories. So I'll just let you guys do a bit of that. I will also start my timer because I know we're really strict on time here. We really got an amazing schedule. So let's get started. I'll go through this pretty fast. This is just really to introduce myself. My name is Yannick. I'm American, from the Washington, D.C., and then later on the San Francisco area. I'm also French. I'm African. I'm from a small little country called Togo. I'm a former product marketing lead at LinkedIn in Silicon Valley in San Francisco area. Also a director of product marketing at Payfit, which is a unicorn startup in Paris, France, focused on payroll and HR. And today I'm a current CMO at Group Episode, the digital payments division, specifically overseeing a portfolio of fintech startups. I'll share about in a quick minute. A bit on the side, I love to do some speaking, some mentoring, some coaching. I've also been very blessed to be ranked as a top 100 product marketing influencer pretty much 2 years in a row. And a bit on my personal side, I'm married, have a beautiful little daughter, and I live in Paris with my wife. So let's get going. There's a lot here. Honestly, usually when I do this presentation, I talk about the 6 business indicators of of success. A lot of people don't ask me about growth. Well, what about business growth? Why isn't that just business growth? And so this is a very important point. I want you to kind of take this in. Just taking some key facts here from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. Within a year, very, very interesting, but within a year, over 18% of startups companies fail. Within 3 years, about 37% of them fail. And even after 10 years, you have over 65% at that point that have failed as well. And what's really interesting here is that they have all experienced, growth at different stages. You have the seed rounds, you have the Series A, B, C, D, you have even the IPOs, right? And so one of the biggest things that I wanted to share is this concept here of, there's 3 main reasons why companies fail typically, right? You have doing some research here and that we've seen from some great folks at CBI Insights. They just do so much information on just kind of research in companies and sectors. And so they did this really massive research, and they pulled out that about 38% of companies fail typically because of cash flow problems. Cash flow problems meaning, not being able to raise capital. It means insufficient funds. It means, maybe potentially a lack of product market fit, failure to capitalize on opportunities. There's a lack of demand sometimes, a lack of being able to sustain demand and create demand. That's 35%. And the last 20% typically, or at least the big block is remaining is failing due to competition, right? And so for sure here, what we can take away here is that there's multiple reasons why companies fail, but the number one thing I want you to remember here, because I'll be doing a lot of key messages around, and so key message number 1 is over a long period of time, growth alone is not enough. Growth alone is not enough. And so I got a couple of use cases here. I don't know if you guys remember Atrium, but they're a 75 million Series B legal startup, and they basically shut down. They shut down, letting go about 100 employees, and they had to raise money from Andreessen Horowitz and a bunch of other folks in Y Combinator, and they had to return some of that money and close up shop because they weren't able to really maintain the efficiency that they needed to operate at scale. Which is very interesting because this is also coming, from a CEO who has had experience, building Justin TV that was pivoted into Switch, and that was sold later on to Amazon for over 100, and 70 million euros. So this is not no small shop, and even at the Series B stage where you've already experienced growth, you can still fail. Another one is the case of Anki. They basically raised over $205 million, and they also shut down in April 2019. They basically run out of money, and that was after selling over 1.5 million robots. Right, so we have an issue here of cash flow despite having growth. Another example, talking about another scale here, is the case of Yahoo, right? We all know Yahoo, and they had IPO'd back in the past, but they didn't. They kind of failed to understand where the market was going and what consumers wanted as well. And so when you kind of neglect that, and also they missed out on some of the greatest opportunities, like buying Google at the time, even buying Facebook at the time. There's a lot of opportunities that came their way, and they weren't able to take advantage of it. They maybe were a little too risk adverse and wanted to stay course on what they were doing. But so at the end, they weren't able to sustain demand, and they weren't able to continue to manage cash flow at the scale that they wanted, and they weren't able to continue to create that competitive advantage. So key message number 2 here is, regardless of the level of maturity, companies, basically that cannot manage cash flow efficiently, that that can't create or sustain demand, and can't maintain a competitive advantage over a period of time, will inevitably perish. That's just a fact. I know it's pretty it gives me a lot of anxiety to say this, but it's really true. It's a fact that you're counting down the days if you're not able to master this skill of being able to constantly adapt, to constantly manage cash flow, constantly create and sustain demand, and constantly maintain that competitive advantage. And a couple of things come out here. When we're talking about managing cash flow efficiently, we're talking about P&L. When we're talking about creating and sustaining demand, we're talking about product market fit, and we're talking about growth acceleration. And when we're talking about maintaining competitive advantage, we're talking about through potentially an incredible customer experience, to hiring some of the best talents out there, through maintaining a brand with loyal friends, even through product, right? But you have all these different aspects that are very important for you to take into account. And so why not growth only at all costs? Well, typically here's a challenge that you might have, and I really want to ask you this question. So typically, if we pursue growth at all costs, it will put us in one of these 3 brackets. One will be, well, we have growth without profitability, which ends up being a cash burn problem. Over time, that's probably one of the hottest seats to be in, and it's very tough if you're really burning through cash. You have the growth, but you're not able to maintain that efficiency around the P&L. The second piece is growth without customer satisfaction. So if you're able to acquire customers, but you can't retain them, maybe because the product is not as good as they thought, maybe it's not solving the actual need that they needed, well, you might have a churn problem down the line. It could be revenue churn, downgrades, and so on. But maybe lower volumes of transactions, or whatever your business model is. It could be complete customer churn. Third piece is growth without operational efficiency. So the issue there, obviously, it's a little less as intense as cash burn problem or churn problem. But in this realm, you might have a funding round problem. You might have a valuation problem down the line when you're trying to raise that Series A, Series B, that IPO. If you're not able to show that you can operate efficiently at scale, then you might have that problem. So that's why growth at all costs is something that we really need to make sure that we take into account. For key message 3 here, to win over the long term, companies need to invest in building a scalable, profitable, and sustainable business. So your challenge, if you accept it, and that's going to be the focus of this presentation today, is going to be, we have to all focus on building a business that can withstand the wheels of time. The company life cycles. Here we're talking about, that seed round, the Series A, that Series B, all the way up to that, scale up to IPO. you're constantly reinventing yourself. You need to be able to continually adapt. You have to understand also, hey, there's the weather, headwind, tailwind in terms of the economic dynamics. Do people have money to purchase? Are people losing jobs because of COVID? All these aspects take a really important, a factor to take into account. There's also the market. Is it a red ocean strategy with a lot of competitors? Is it blue ocean where it's completely new? I mean, all these different aspects are something that we have to understand. How do we withstand, the test of time throughout all of this? And of course, the internal financial operations, right? Managing that P&L, that efficiency at scale. The second piece is, continuing to find that product market fit to build that growth engine, to create that differentiating customer experience, because over the long period of time, these aspects are going to matter greatly. And then lastly is to invest in a scalable, profitable, and sustainable business model over time. So key takeaways from this presentation. The first one is really understanding the need to build a scalable, profitable, and sustainable business. Check. So I kind of talked about that right now. The second piece is understanding why startups fail over the long run. Kind of share that as well. And the last three pieces that we're going to focus on for the remainder of this call, which is really the meat of this, is learning the 6 indicators that drives business success, in which you want to align your C-suite around, how to spot problems and how to fix them, and which cross-functional partners and executives to involve in each topic. Why am I presenting this topic? I think it's a great question. Want to make sure I put that in there. I work at Groupe BBC, which is the second largest banking group in France. Full range of banking, insurance activities. We have 4 major business lines. It's pretty big. Wealth and wealth management. Banking. There's quite a few things. Digital payments and so on. We have over 36 million customers, over 100,000 employees in 40 different countries. We have a net income of about 25 billion euros. We're the largest issuer of Visa cards in Europe. We basically process 20% of all payment in the French market, which is insane. We're a premium partner of Paris, and we're also a LinkedIn top company, so very proud of that. Where this gets interesting is when I joined Group PPC, I was really focused on the digital and payments sector, and I came in as a CMO overseeing today 2 companies and tomorrow more. And it's very interesting because as soon as I got here, this is a highly competitive payment technology platform. And so aligning the C-suite on how do we build a scalable, profitable, sustainable business over time became my number 1 priority. On one side, you have Delaney's, which is like an enterprise platform technology for really big e-commerce companies in Europe. So you got some of the logos there, Made.com, VP, Kiwi, Weekend Desk, PokerStars, Maison du Monde, really, even 3M, 3 Suisse, Burger King. There's just so many different, large organizations that are on that as an enterprise model. We also have Xpilens, which is a banking as a service platform that, for European companies. And so that's really kind of like the back end, really fueling and embedding financial products into some of our customers, whether they're, within fintechs or they're large organizations and so on. Just to give you a bit of an understanding of my scope, really some of the immediate missions as soon as I joined was, nailing product market fit so we can increase that those win rates, those NPS, Net Promoter Scores. Building a growth engine by different verticals, gambling, travel, retail, gaming, all these different folks, verticals were really powerful for us, and we were getting a lot of traction. So how do we scale that? Building a large enterprise brand that's recognized at least around Europe. That's really our focus. Optimizing financial and operational efficiency, so that CAC versus customer acquisition cost versus that lifetime value on that P&L, and driving great talent, the acquisition, the onboarding, and the retention. So that's working in partnership with HR. So this presentation, it gives you a bit of understanding where I'm coming from and how I had to really dive into this topic and understand, I'm actually going to be managing multiple marketing and growth strategies. How do I ensure that we're building a sustainable, scalable, profitable process across all these? And so this presentation is for, CMOs at all different levels of maturity for their companies, directors and VPs who are looking to just gain more insight and learn more about other markets. And then also cross-functional partners who are just, looking to understand, how to work better together between product, marketing, sales, customer success, finance, and so on. I will say really quickly, because I'm going to dive into this. As you can see, like I have a lot of content that I just really want to share, and also don't worry about taking too much notes. I'm definitely gonna make sure we can share the slides and you guys can have that. But I do want to say that take your time. Rome wasn't built in a day. I think there's a lot to learn here. It's going to be a process of iteration over time. I also want to say this quick disclaimer because I have to. It's really important. Every business and economic, legal, technological contexts are typically different, and so just take what you can get from this presentation and just use that and throw everything else away. The second thing is this is I'm here really sharing my own thoughts today. I'm not necessarily representing Grupo Epicero's intellectual property. So just want to make sure that I'm sharing that. This is really what I've learned through my various experiences, and I'm not getting paid or selling any products today. So this is purely, just giving back based on the experiences that I've been fortunate to have and the coaches and mentors I've been fortunate to have as well. So let's get started. Indicators of success. Number one is product market fit. This is, for me, the heart of any business. And what exactly is product market fit? Well, as you can see here, it's a company's ability to build the best product and services for the ideal target market at the right price so that we can build a profitable business. And I think sometimes, we're not looking at all these different dimensions, but you have to look at the product and services for the ideal target market at the right price so that you can build that profitable business like we mentioned. And so it's important because the more significant your product market fit gap, the higher the cost of acquisition and the lower the customer lifetime value. That's going to show itself in terms of long sales cycles. That's taking longer than it should. More, there's a little typo there, sorry. More discounting coming from sales potentially, that you have to do to close deal. More customer churn, more revenue churn, all these different factors, usage growing and getting lower and lower because we haven't nailed that product market fit. And so it's important. This is the heart of any business. I've seen a lot of companies raise money and scale when they don't have product market fit, and so they lose a lot of money and time and also close up shop. Like some of the companies that we mentioned earlier, even though they've been doing a great job, eventually you will be tested. So how do you know when you're on track for your product market fit? Well, we're not going to go through, I'm not going to read all of this, but essentially there are signs. You can kind of feel it. You're losing deals, net promoter score is decreasing, it's hard to get testimonials, usage is low, you're discounting on sales, sales cycles taking too long, all the stuff I just mentioned. How do you know you're on track? Well, you're winning. You're gaining customers, you're beating some of the competitors, your usage is growing, your revenue is growing, you're trying to hire sales and customer success as fast as you can. I mean, all of these indicators, right? Low discounting from sales tells you that you're onto something. And most importantly, customers are coming back and purchasing again. So that starts to give you an understanding that you have that product market fit. There are also a lot of different ways, scientifically that you can kind of do it as well with surveys and quantitative, I should say. That's great, but just wanted to give you an understanding. And even through these kind of blends, you can look at the data and you can start to see that, things are going well and not going well. What you should do if you have a product market fit problem? Well, there's 3 steps. First is assess the problem. The second is build a hypothesis on how to solve the problem. And the third is to test and monitor. And so the first piece is understanding, well, how do we, where do we even go to understand where the problem is coming from? And so it's coming from pricing strategy, as it's too expensive, as if the wrong target, you don't have, the right value proposition for them. It's product quality not as good as we had thought, right? So you have to kind of assess where this is coming from. You have to make a hypothesis, as if we do X, then Y will happen. And if, or maybe if F is happening because of Z. And so you start to kind of like build those hypotheses. And then what you want to do is, let's launch, test, let's monitor, right? So let's do a small tweak on the pricing and packaging so that we can, change some of the aspects, see if that does something. Let's pivot on some of the targets and verticalize a little bit more. Let's invest a bit more in increasing kind of the value for customers, maybe product, right? So there's a lot of different ways, but that kind of gives you a way to look at it. And so what are the PMF, KPIs? Well, indicating, I have this format of lagging indicator, leading indicator, and the holy grail. lagging indicator will be your win rates, like I just mentioned. But leading indicator will be your first meetings, like how many demos you're getting, how often you're getting those demos, those trial accounts, and so on. And the last one is word of mouth, right? And so there's a couple bonuses there too. You can look at speed of win rates, you can look at product usage, you can look at net promoter score. But these KPIs will give you a good understanding of product market fit. Who should be involved? Well, product team, because they have the vision on what they're looking to build for who, the personas, and so on. You have the marketing team that's involved in segmentation, personas, pricing, go-to-market, growth. The whole experience. You have the sales as well that's on the ground. You have customer success that's in charge of onboarding, retention, engagement, and so on. And you have finance, right? They're really focused also on the unit economics to make sure we're building something sustainable and scalable. So product market fit, typically you should have all these different execs in the room or cross-functional partners in the room to get the right the right number there for you guys. Second one is growth indicator. So this is the most important machine to build. Growth engine is the ability for a company to create demand, to nurture those opportunities efficiently, and to close customers as quickly as possible, right? It's like that's that machine. It's important because if your machine is not efficient, then your customer acquisition costs will skyrocket, your margins and profitability will decrease significantly. And so it's important to set up the right data sets to measure the speed of acquisition and conversion rates per channels, meaning inbound, outbound, partnerships, whatever channels you have. Make sure you have the right data structure so that you can actually analyze it. In terms of how do we know when we're on track? Well, there's a bunch of stuff here. Reporting in CRM is not doing well. You have a poor hand opportunity marketing and sales. Leads are not addressed. They're not poorly tagged. That they're poorly tagged. You have a high acquisition cost, long sales cycle, abandoned carts. All these different things. Customer downgrading are different examples of your growth strategy is not going well. On track side, well, you have a clean reporting dashboards where you can see everything in real time. You have a content production machine that's creating white papers and videos and anything you need to go out there and convert prospects into leads. Your pipeline is growing. You're running events, and at least 1/3 of folks are showing up on the actual call. All these different things. High close rate shows you that you're going very well there on your growth strategy. Same model for assessing the program, the problems to solve. Where is the problem coming from? Is it at the top funnel? Is it at the conversion level? Do we have a cost of acquisition? Do we have a churn? Where's that growth problem, right? Because you can have an issue on the new business side. We can also have growth issue on the customer portfolio side. And so same here. You want to build the hypotheses. You want to test and monitor. In terms of should we verticalize content? Should we buy an automation tool to go much faster? Should we open up a new acquisition channel that's different, that's easier? Should we do direct sales? Should we do channel sales? Revamping the pitch decks? All these different things you want to test and monitor as well. KPIs here, we're looking at revenue growth, we're looking at pipeline growth, and we're looking at cost of acquisition. Those are the three big ones for sure. And then you got some, cherry on the top, some conversion rates per channel and speed of content creation. I actually love that one. Is how quickly are we able to create content and put it out in the market to generate leads? Right. That's also a big factor as well that you need to be able to measure. Who's involved here? Same folks, product marketing, sales, customer success, finance, for a variety of reasons. You can do product-led growth with sandboxes, modular packaging, different things add more value. Marketing, we know it's classic, with the go-to-market, the different channels. You have sales as well. They're pitching, they're negotiating, they're closing. All these, they're potentially opening up new sales channels as well. Customer success, because they're in charge of onboarding and engagement and retention, so they can help you retain to increase that LTV, or they can help you even upsell customers. And then finance, because they're allocating the budget to fuel the growth engine, right? There's some CFOs who don't really want to go into details, and you have others who do and want to give more to invest in that growth. Third one is customer experience. So customer experience is basically what's going to help you get that higher LTV, customer lifetime value, that satisfaction, and that referral. And the objective here is to make sure that you're able to help the customer achieve their desired outcome with as minimal effort as possible, and also invest in other aspects like customer satisfaction and retention programs and so on. But The idea here is customer experience can increase your ROI on the acquisition cost, and they can also grow revenue from the existing portfolio. And customer experience doesn't just come from customer success. It can also come through product. It can come through marketing. It can come through sales. And so you really have to look at that holistic approach. And so when you're looking at it in terms of data KPIs, onboarding could be long. You have a lot of tickets. You have a lot of NPS scores that's getting lower and lower. Your retention is low. You have no FAQ, no product tutorials, no customer community, no SLAs. All these are letting you know that you're not going in the right direction for your customer experience. On the other side, if you have repeat business, retention is high, you have lots of referrals, you have customer ambassadors, you have a library of content. All these different aspects are going to let you know that you're going in the right direction for customer experience. Same format for solving the problem. You have to understand where's it coming from. Do we have a slow or complex onboarding? Is the product not intuitive? Is the service not valuable? And then you want to go out there and start testing once you realize what your hypothesis is. FAQs, launching product tutorials, and so on. Indicators there. Number one is a lagging indicator is your customer lifetime value. Your leading indicator is first time to value. That might be something that maybe some folks actually hadn't heard about, but it's how quickly can your customer use your product and service and accomplish what they're trying to do. Or win that first milestone in that first step. That actually is very important because that will also, affect what I call the customer effort score, which is how easy is for them to achieve their goal. On top of that, you have expansion, upsell, retention, churn rate, speed of ticket resolutions. All of those are classics, and you want to have them. But there's some those top 3 KPIs for me are must-have for customer experience. Who's involved? The same players for different reasons. You can have product experience directly embedded through the product. You can have marketing with events and communities. You can have customer success with the way they engage with customers. Even sales, the way that you have those conversation. How you're acting as a thought partner, as a consultant. The different things that you're doing to create a great experience. And then finance, because of course you're fueling as well this budget to have that customer experience. We're going to move a little faster. We have the indicators of success, number 4, which is brand. This piece is key because it fuels all the assets and the engagement that you need, to really interact with your buyer personas, your users, so that you can gain market share, build lists, and so on. That team is the one creating the visual aspect, the identity, the tone of voice, the content, the videos, the white papers. And so it's important because, the higher the brand awareness, the more the brand engagement, the lower the customer acquisition cost, and the higher the customer lifetime value. In terms of being on track, well, if your target hasn't heard from you, if you have slow growth on social media, if journalists don't know who you are, or they don't really want to, showcase your story, your article, that's a problem. But on the other hand, if your phone's ringing, if you're gaining followers, if your content's getting downloaded, that you're doing very good. If you have loyal fans as well. Brand, well, not enough quality content. Is that where the problem's coming from? No budget, no budget for awareness campaigns and so on. You're not visible in events, right? Industry events among your competitors. Where's that coming from? And on the success, what you need to do is maybe hire a content manager, create a keynote event, share some customer testimonials. All of these are going to help you kind of test and monitor. And when we're looking at KPIs, it's, the amount of visitors that come to your website. Are we talking about 100? Are we talking about 100,000? Are we talking about 100, a million? All of these just kind of shows the growth in the awareness that's redirected back to your website. That's quite important. The speed of content creation, the customer testimonials are quite key. Same lot. Honestly, it's always going to be marketing, product, customer success, sales, and finance that need to be involved. And going a little bit quickly because we're getting close to time is P&L. P&L is going to be important because it's about the ability to diversify revenue to create a sustainable customer acquisition cost versus lifetime value. And it's the opportunity to really fuel for strategic growth. And so you're on track when you know that you have an efficient CAC versus lifetime value. You have revenue growth. You have pipeline growth. You have a high revenue per employee. You have high margins. And you basically know when you have a problem when revenue growth is decreasing, when you have a high cost of acquisition and lifetime revenue employees. All these are kind of like aspects that you can look into and then kind of test, should we invest in an automation tool to improve efficiency? Should we build a call center? Should we outsource some aspects? Should we build in more into product? Now, all this is going to help you kind of understand how to increase that growth. Oh, looks like the last page didn't upload. So there's revenue growth, pipeline growth, cost of revenue versus LTV are going to be key ones here. And then just skipping to the last one, because we're getting close to the end of the call, is talent. Now, talent for me is the hallmark of success. Really, this is where we're going to make sure that we retain the best talent and onboard the best talent. And so this is important because if you have the right people at the right time, you're able to build a really strategic and successful business. So there you go. I'll skip some of this because I'll share this to you so you'll have the slides. But these 6 indicators of product market fit, growth, customer experience, brand, P&L, and talent are the 6 different indicators that you need to look at to build a sustainable, profitable, and scalable business. With that, what's really cool is that the CMO or marketing has the opportunity to influence all of these indicators. So there you go. Thanks a bunch for listening. And as always, take your time. Rome wasn't built in a day. I've also taken the time to put in a lot of resources that I've absolutely loved. So feel free to use those as well. Thank you very much. Let me stop sharing now and then see any kind of questions we have.
Thanks so much. It was a great talk, lots of information, and we'll be sure to share those slides with everyone after the event. Definitely. We've got one question come in here from Karina, who has asked, how did you determine these goals and when did you present them to your executive team upon joining the firm?
How do we determine these goals? So I think what's really good is the one of my experiences actually comes from product marketing, and so my kind of first half of my career is or second half of my career is product marketing before I got into general marketing. But product marketing gives you the opportunity to really look at the market, to look at the customers, the buyer personas, the value propositions to put on front, the pricing strategy, and so at that point already, I can kind of get an understanding of, okay, we need to make sure that this is going well, that we have product market fit. Then the second piece is pretty natural. We have product market fit. How do we scale? Well, we need a growth engine. Of course, you have to set your KPIs and your specific goals, but we know that we need a growth engine. And the second piece is, well, how do you monitor the performance of that growth engine? And so you want to be able to have dashboards. You want to be able to see if you're growing in acquisition, in your conversion rate, or are we decreasing, or do we have high cost? And so really the view on product marketing, which has an interaction with product, with marketing, with sales, with customer success, with finance, gave me kind of a view on the entire go-to-market business model. And then I really just started working with each of these partners to determine what are the KPIs that you and I need to sit down and look at, so that we need to move the needles on those because they're the most important. And so for all those that coming from product marketing, you're definitely in a great position to be a strong CMO. For all those that aren't, it's not an issue. Just make sure that as you're working with your different departments, product marketing, sales, customer success, and finance, you're setting real KPIs to help you achieve success.
Great, thank you. And we've got another question come in here from Will, who said, are there any of the indicators that are higher priority than others?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, it will depend on the stage that you're in, right? We talked about growth at all costs. Sometimes you're at that phase where you need to you scale. You need to prove that you have product market fit. You need to get more, revenue in the pipeline so that you can then reinvest in other places. So at some point, growth is incredibly important. But very quickly after, then you need to look at that customer experience, because that's going to be important for your customer lifetime value. It's going to be important for your retention. All these are key. And at some point, when you really start to scale and you need more, then you have to look at, well, are we really operating this with the best P&L efficiency as possible for that next funding round, for example. And so depending on the stage that you're in your company life cycle, you will have a KPI or an indicator that's more important than the other.
Great, thank you. We are just out of time, I think. So yeah, thank you so much, Yannick. That was a great session. Thank you for everyone for tuning in and your questions and engagement in the chat there. Stay with us. We've got lots more to come today. But yeah, a big thanks to everyone again.
Awesome, thank you, and I'll share the slides. So I'll give it to you, Caitlin, and you can share it to whoever needs it.
Great.
Awesome.
Thanks so
Thank
much.
you. Bye bye. Connect with me on LinkedIn, by the way. Bye.
And just quickly before I wrap up the session, I'd just like to say, if you're enjoying the summit and hungry for some more content in the next few weeks, join us at our Adobe webinar on June the 1st, looking at customers to advocates and how customer education is used as an engine to scale businesses. And you can sign up via the link in the comments. Thanks, everyone. See you at the next session.